Canny, brilliant, and unerringly insightful, Jim Davis lives in a world where nothing is ordinary.
Jim Davis is a graduate of Knox College and lives, writes, and paints in Chicago, where he edits the North Chicago Review. Jim's work has appeared in Seneca Review, Blue Mesa Review, Poetry Quarterly, Whitefish Review, the Cafe Review, the Contemporary American Voices, in addition to winning the Line Zero Poetry Contest, Ion the Life Poetry, and multiple Editor's Choice Awards. www.jimdavispoetry.com.
Like you need to know that detail right there. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for a phenomenal feat this evening. Give it up for Jim Davis!
Thanks, Janet. Thank you, Janet. Happy
Tell
birthday, too.
Thank you. Yeah, buy me beer. Tell them about your book.
Just put a book out. It's okay.
New Trier.
New Trier. It's a real place. I just put my first book out, if you want to call it that. It's a limited edition chapbook. There's only 100 copies of it. They're all signed. It's really for promotional stuff and readings and situations just like this. So if you want a copy, there's some up here. My friend Nick will be distributing and collecting for them. The price is $12 or best offer. I may as well, I'm going to read from it really quickly and move on from there. Time is precious.
Of the essence.
What's that?
Time is of the essence.
It is. The first one is called Fair Shake. I wrote it in San Antonio, if that kind of sets the scene at all. In the heart of this clay city, a boy chases light with a mason jar and threaded bell cap. His father close behind with pad and pen, trying to capture the ghost of a stone stronghold, stolen by cannon fire. Who will not someday become a statue, he wonders. Marble, canvas flag, a bed of stones, or crossed planks of wood piercing dirt to tell of what has been. In the same way, a mason jar, clicking with lightning bugs and temper, tells the story of a city. Here is better, the father tells his son. Where I come from, breathing at altitude, it's not what you take in, but what you can't get out that makes you sick. Count as high as you're able, he said. The boy found his father on a bench and set the blinking jar between them. Vale, hijo. It's my Spanish accent. You'll do fine, he said, tapping his fingers to a visible rhythm. Clicking the back of his pen, he reminded him to see and tell gently, handing over the pad and slowly unscrewing the cap. That's the first one. I'll read one more from the book. This one's called The Winter I Drank Mostly Pale Ale. This is sort of the theme of this book, which is, I don't know if I mentioned, it's called Feel and Meet Again. The winter I drank mostly pale ale. Reason maintains many things, though not the rings left on the oak wood table, the torn label from bottles of India brew. I got fat. She was sad to be falling out of love with me. I raised my hand into the air. Walking through Chicago winter, you can only see your breath if you stop moving. A taxi slowed to see if I was fair, and that's pretty much the whole story. Okay, I will move on swiftly. This one's called Harvestman. I worry when I read these things. I play a lot of games with enjambment and things like that, and different sort of tactics, and I wonder while reading them. My sister always makes fun of me because it doesn't sound natural. I'm trying to give credit to the line breaks, but if I get too off, Melissa, feel free to say something. This one's called Harvestman. It actually, I'll toot my own horn. It won me $50 American. That's right. For a
You actually made money.
That's right. I'm rich.
So you're a professional poet.
Literally.
You are a professional poet.
That's not even counting the Crown Royal bag. Harvestman, his name is spelled Harvestman. Sometimes I make up words for titles when nothing will fit. Harvestman. steam rising from the steel slit of the whistle's mouth, shuffling feet, tin heels, a water tower on stilts, a ladder to the grain silo. The spiteful truth is waiting. To be labor smacked, the working class proffers chicken-flavored milk bones to the family dog when the family is off on holiday. A meadow, a beach with green sand, algae, dandelion pressings to separate journal pages. Is that enough? No one suspects the daddy longlegs of its reputed poison. We allow him to crawl along the pink spindle of our turning wrist, a skein of his impossible path. We watch the sun sink into the lake, our backs pressed against the fence of our city alderman's summer cottage, white and picketed, swollen where the tide has picked away its skin. He crawling through hair, we picking willow reeds depressed between our thumb and whistle. When it's time for fire, time to find dry sticks and little points, we pinch our poor daddies by the end of their long legs, pluck them like daisies, keen enough to ask for love with each amputation, young enough for true indifference. All right. This one is for Dave Simon, people in the audience know him. It's called The Assumption of the Philosopher Upon the Universe. I just wrote it the other day, so it's pretty raw. The Assumption of the Philosopher Upon the Universe. We are both desired and essential. That's the assumption. And must devote our entireties to pursuits of evidence thereof. Only after the admission of mistakes can a mistake be made. Admission, indirect quality of conditionals, as in, one cannot break an unidentified condition. Mostly in such naming, under such consideration, we label language God, and us, the gods of language, are elevated, as such our apotheosis. Thus, we are both desired and essential in a universe of our own design. Painting our savage names on brick, panel, aluminum flanks of dumpsters, rumbling with foraging rats, peeking out with beady eyes to bask in awe of the moon, or a glaring nightclub marquee blinking with divinity. Bicycle wire, chains, sidewalk cracks and hand grenades, angled shatterings, summer shorts where less is more, and cigarettes when more is less. Spin the spider-like web of connectivity, paper cups stained pink at the rim. Gasoline as weapon or spectrum of color in a puddle when the hydrant cap is missing. And those rats glossed over from found brandy cakes, frozen, if only for a moment, in a stitch of universal kinship, then scattered by the clap of a car door, or the swivel of sunset, as the world turns to its back once again, as we begin to speak supremely of it. Let's see. I'm going to read one. I mentioned Melissa earlier. This is sort of about her, or at least in reference. It's called Waiting Room. It's not too sad, don't worry. Waiting Room. It's 9 a.m. when the man begins to write with sound, as anyone might, when his sole stimulus is the hum of lights, the curved complexity of spine and skull, hanging bones, topographical map of a man's anatomy pinned to the wall. He clicks the back end of a pen and hovers above the page. Which element of salt turns ice to water? He wonders to the pad. Square, an uninspired crystal. And there's plenty of it out there, scratching the rough mouth of the pavement, clearing the drive. Two old women from the Philippines, he thinks, maybe Japanese, with receding hairlines, he notes, always conscious of his own, engage in rehabilitation, scapular reduction, external rotation while stretching a red band. Snap out of it, he blinks, tells himself. Sound, right with it. Script the tune of the blue rays pulsing through the bones of your hand, which is swollen to the size of a hand in a glove, bulging around the knuckle. He was lubing the channels of poetic flux by writing with taste in the kitchen when something sinister put his fist through the wall to a stud. Now he writes lefty and has forsaken taste for sound. Thud of a fist on stud. Quick pop of cracking knuckle. The intern says to the woman with a bum shoulder, "Once we get you taking care of your son again, then you'll be home free." What fortune it seems to be casted for a broken hand, to see the tentacles of light floating from the fixtures, to recall smashing fluorescent lamps in the gully by the tracks with childhood friends, the ghost of light rising as long tubes popped and splintered against oak trunks and birch. To see behind drywall and into structure, to see beyond shadow to substance, to nurse another cold or a broken bone, to live briefly in the waiting room, not counting beads for a best friend, not covering one's face, hoping she will again breathe freely, concerned purely with his own pain, grateful for such trouble. This beer is making my mouth dry. How much time have I got?
I see just under 10 minutes.
Okay, I will hustle. I'm going to read 3 more quick ones. A magazine that I've submitted to, appeared in the past, asked for some poems recently on the theme of nostalgia. So I went through a bunch of old notebooks and pieced a few together. I'll read them quickly. The first is called Return to Alma Mater, Napping Behind the Library Stacks. This actually happened the last time I was down at Knox College. You heard the title. Suddenly, I am stirred by whispers from the other side of the shelves. 2 students reading spines in a half-conscious squint of June. Otherwise, the library rests, quiet as I imagine Pompeii, swallowed by 6 meters of ash must be, after ash has strangled sound. Pompeii, they whisper, printed in gold on the thick red length of a guided tour in pictures. Dust motes in the sun cutting across the sill. The stacks, 2 chairs I've pressed together to nap. As they shuffle off, I linger in the novelty of my position, an armchair hidden behind the Atlas Bank. Although there is no great significance to my return, there is, if nothing else, a view of the fire escape turning over itself on the brick face of a place I used to live. Barely a scar of sunlight now, as I recall the night, the Catholic moon above my current position from the opposite view. I stepped out into the graded landing on a Saturday, the first week of school, and noticed a quiet room across the grounds where someone had left a light on, somehow aware of the great nostalgias to come. Pre-nostalgia, if there was such a thing. I would be, rather, I have always been, wading through its late waves, the legs of my pants cuffed above the knee, wondering at the cool nothingness of the water, squinting in the glow of the new evening of all its blinking stars. There's a book split on my lap with notes penciled in the margin. Suffering is hardly unique, it claims. I shut the book softly. Loneliness, the contemplative blues thump across generations. A rhythm beat into campus pathways for years and years to come. Another note. I want to know less and understand more, it says. Hum of a vacuum is not enough to drown the muted sound of freight horns in the distance. I take one final trip to the Atlas section, tilt a few spines. I find, upon looking through spaces created by missing text, through and out the window, across the lawn, holding on to the fire escape with white knuckles, frozen like the final pose of Romans buried by ash. Some familiar figure staring back. So. Going quick. Aim higher. I'm going to pack this as much as I can. Aim higher is the name of it. The morning broke as it always did, building tips peeking from the tree line, and above them, nearly too abundant to speak of, humble cloud cover. Blown, scraped, dappled, soft accumulations begging mention. Poetry has a way of saying what it's saying without ever saying it, which, although can be terribly frustrating, can stimulate. Steal whatever you can, he said. Memories are no exception. In certain circles, a pair of flat-soled, red canvas Converse All-Stars will always be in fashion, those unafraid of running from the law. If you recall, there was a time when fathers were the tallest things around, higher even than the trees. With some assistants tall enough to top the Fraser with a woman, hands folded, billowing robes frozen, posed and held in place by time, in time, for time, had a way of making itself known. Working my 9-year-old psychology into a lather, gathering guile to leap from the highest point I might survive, and did. The wooden porch above the yard on Wellington, where I learned to read. The porch, sun-stripped, rain-beat, gray, which slid a splinter into the meat of my bare foot. Pain? Sure. But my concern was for the hound dog, Copper, and Todd, stars of The Fox and the Hound, which my father had promised to take me to see. I could smell the popcorn, feel the prickle of air conditioning, luxury, noise, and color, all that color. I can do this, I said, gritting my teeth like copper would, I assumed, squeezing the hand of our sitter, Janice, up from Mississippi, who made ribs and fried chicken and other things nicely. It was a simple existence, those days. What's the next thing I'll be able to eat? The summer prior, behind Miss Cackaman's garage, we shot pots with a pellet gun, Eddie and me. We'd pick up empty cigarette cartons from the street, pack them tight when need be. The sight's off, he said, aim high, before shattering her geraniums. Hello, I said, that day with a limp, to Miss Cackaman planting. The incredible guilt I felt after sliding into my red Converse All-Stars and spending the day at the movies. The hard skin of popcorn between my teeth. Guilt while slipping an extra pack of Jolly Ranchers up my sleeve. You're better than that, my father said. This is the worst thing you can do. Not achieve what you might be able to. Someday, he said, you'll be taller than me, which is why these days I slouch. The world, it seems, is made up of influence, deceit, the unending, enduring is the word, pursuit of pleasure, and all the little things we won't admit we know, and know better. That's that. I finish with one called Elbows and Belly. Jump right. Elbows and Belly. Pressed into the floor, past my bedtime, 2 fists propping my chin, watching X-Files, too young to understand the subtle exchange of glance between Agents Mulder and Scully. I'm going to pause. I'm never quite sure how to use like pop culture in these, so this is a real experiment. I mean, it borders on the unpoetic, but I'm using it.
But it's X-Files.
That's right. It sure is. Agents Mulder and Scully. Not until Gillian Anderson appeared on the cover of a men's magazine some years later would I. Young, you'll dive into anything potentially sweet. So if you see a candy wrapper that looks attacked by some wild thing, expect to find the culprit nearby. Milky chocolate streaks announcing crime scene and mastermind. If you can't find him immediately, check under the bed. Lesson learned. You find what you're looking for through investigation, categorization, and imposition. It won't hold up in court, but it'll have to do. As George Oppen said, likely in reference to an incomprehensible interconnectedness, things explain each other, not themselves. By 8 o'clock, the sky is ripe for picture taking. Buildings had ruddied their cheeks with a pitch. "Come find me," she said. "Baby, I know where you are. Let's not play this game. It's too close to the real thing." The old tend to take their time. Like Victor, a friend of mine who sits reading translations of The Lawless Decade, plastic cup teetering on the bottleneck of cool mineral water, stippled wet with beads in 96-degree heat, withholding, gladly, from himself. "Come find me," said the truth, which, we are told, is out there. There are too many places to hide. Pulling a blanket around her waist, Jillian Anderson revealed in an interview of 20 relevant questions her favorite fruit, strawberry, and her favorite ice cream flavor, vanilla bean. A sexual reference I now appreciate. If you have ever seen vanilla bean seed pods, you'll know what I mean. What's it like to be reflected? How many angles might it be safe to see yourself? 2, 3, and I suppose the filter will have something to say about the deal. I'd give it all away to feel familiar and safe, although I only mean that, truly, when I have been too long lonely. Don't allow me to turn out that way. Come find me. Old man Victor lifts the cup from its perch, slowly unscrews the cap, sits in the hiss of relief for a moment, then pours himself a fizzy inch or so, enough to empty the neck, leaving its level at what might be called the shoulder. Slowly sips. "Ah," he says. Sets it down. Effervescent, small breeze, gentle conversation at a neighboring booth. "It's out there," she promised me. Truth, with misty eyes, soft hips, and everything I ever wanted wrapped in tentacles of gum smoke. There's not much to say about the eerie, whistling intro. And despite my most obvious instincts, I will not make a probe joke. The truth is, that show meant nothing to me. Scully was a stepping stone in my development, an image of adolescence, nothing more than a placeholder, the hunching Cro-Magnon in the midst of a timeline unfolding, in the way that jellyfish roamed like prehistoric Darwin, mammoth poachers of the ocean's underbelly, devouring slow and timid souls who didn't know enough to climb up on the beach and breathe. There's no need to search the sky for truth. There's enough of it here to last us. It's a misnomer anyway, planted for the sake of mystery, the seed of wonder, exceptional being, or pea beneath the king's many mattresses. It is enough to inspire awe, which is real. It's enough to find joy in what it means to be, a life well lived, fleeting, almost giddy with excitement and guilt, swishing my feet, holding still when two beady eyes appear on the horizon. A night spent on my belly and elbows, hypnotized by color and mystery and hope. My father, somewhere behind me, asleep in the armchair, his tired hand gently clutching the remote. That's it.
That was loud enough, ladies and gentlemen. Get it up one more time for Jim Davis!
Thank you very much.
Not that I wanted to be. Oh, my magazine's here. Oh, and I happen to have, I wrote down the name because this doesn't happen to be often because I added a magazine, which you're seeing right here. That's a 19-year anniversary issue of CCD magazine, but I wrote down the name. The winter I drank mostly pale ale. Would you please send that to me? Because, as I had said before, we don't take the rights for anything. You are just giving us the right to broadcast your stuff. And we'll put it in a future issue. If you're willing to send it to me, I'm going to give this to you because, you know, 2 in one night. My mind is blown. That doesn't usually happen because I'm all picky with my writing. What did I get to you? That's awesome. I would love it if you would do that. So thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, God. I have to do it one more time. Give it up to Jim Davis. Come on. I got a bag of his money right here. But I have to tell you about future features. because I know nobody has anything going on July 4th because they decided to change everything in Chicago with the 3rd with everything going on. So if you want to come here on the 4th, which is our next one, we've got Dan Cleary, the musician, who's a musical poet. He's so awesome. So he's up for our feature. Lucia Blinn is on July 18th. I'm going to cough. Sorry. Thought I'd give you a clue on that one. Sorry. August 1st. Oh. You know, John was like, hey, I'm going to be out of town. Do you want to go out of town? Put me on this trip at the beginning of August, and I'll be going at the beginning of August. I'm like, I don't think I can, because I could have Bob Raschko do this fill-in for me on a week, but it happens to be Charlie Newman as a feature, and I don't think I can miss that one. So August 1st is a Charlie Newman feature. And yeah, if you want to know anything about future features, go to www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe. And I can tell you, Robin Fine is on the 15th, August 29th, Bob Loris, Shaggy Wolk is on September 12th. I just keep going on. But I'm going to give an advance warning to everybody. We got a bonus week, because October 10th would be our regular day. But we've got an October 3rd thing with Francois Leroux, the Haman of South Africa, who is going to be doing a feature, and I'm going to be doing a show with him right afterward, right here. And if anybody has any material of anybody doing work with anybody from outside the Chicagoland area as an open record, that would be the perfect time in the beginning of October to come on and do it. Go to the website, www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe, and learn more about it. And, I'm winded. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thank you, every one of you, and I